So this is LeetCode problem number 2 in the LeetCode 75 problem set. Greatest common divisor of strings. You can see the problem right up here. Usually I don't think it's valuable to have you watch me just type out code that I've already written. But in this case it's short enough, I don't think it really matters much. But anyway, so assuming you've read the problem or you're at least familiar with it, I wanted to first explain the first part. And so if you imagine two strings that were created from a common base where it's just like some multiple of the base for each one, right? So like an example would be like AB. So if you took, I'll write it out actually. So AB and AB, AB. So you should notice that if you have two strings like this, if you were to combine them in either direction, they're the same because obviously they're just multiples of the same base. And so like if you took this string and then concatenated it with this one, it's the same as concatenating this one with this one. And so this should remind you of like the commutative property of addition, but in this case, it's essentially the commutative property of string concatenation. And so what that basically means is that if the commutative property of string concatenation holds, then both words were generated from some base string. And so if they're not, then you can say that there's at least one letter that differs, and so there's no base that divides them both. And so what that means in terms of code is that if you did string 1 plus string 2 not equal to string 2 plus string 1, then you can return this, because if this what is essentially commutative property of string concatenation doesn't hold, then you know that there's no common base that generated both strings. And so the final part, so it's actually really easy to check to make sure that they even have a base in common. And so after that if statement, you know that both words have some string base in common. And so to kind of to explain the second part, you have to visualize how these are working. And so we'll use another one. So ABC, we'll do 2 of them and then 3 of them. And then we'll do 2 of them and then 4 of them, just to show. So in this first example, we know that both of these words are generated from the base ABC, and technically both of them are. But because this one's 2 of them and this one's 3 of them, the GCD is still ABC, because you can't use ABC ABC because that doesn't divide this one. But in this case, even though I created both of these by just copying and pasting ABC, because there's 2 of them and then there's 4 of them, ABC ABC actually divides both of them. And the reason for that is that it has to do with the fact that you can offload all of the string division onto the actual number properties. So the reason that this GCD would be ABC ABC and this one would have to just be one ABC is because this length is 8, this length is this length is I guess 12 and this one's 6. And so the GCD of 12 and 6 is 6. And so this length of 6 and from either string is the GCD. And because this is 3, right? So these are this one is 6 and this one's 9. The GCD is 3, so it's the first 3 from each one. And so that's kind of how you're able to offload this string problem into the actual math component of what, like, the GCD between two numbers. So length of string 2, and then you would just return. It doesn't even matter what string you use because you're taking this the GCD slice, so it exists in both of them, so it shouldn't matter. Or it does. If string one. Oh, I see. I had a typo here. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So anyway, the main part is that you can offload all of the string work into the number GCD, and all you have to do is just remember that it's just working off of the fact that if you start from if you build two strings from a base string, the lengths of the strings, like those numbers that you'd calculate, the GCD of those two numbers will also be the GCD of the string length. And so I will say too, like when I originally did this one without using the GCD method, I built my own string division algorithm, which I will say it's definitely less efficient, and so it's worth understanding how to do this solution. But I would say for coding practice, you should be able to write a string division algorithm and solve this same problem using that. So hopefully this helps.